Veronica Killen.
Thank you very much, Claire. Big thank you, Claire, and to Sussex LRC for inviting me to speak. I could talk for hours about education, but I know I've only got 10 minutes, so I'll keep it very, very brief. And you'll have to excuse me, we've had a very, very long day at Congress, and this is just the first of three. I haven't eaten anything since breakfast, and it's just absolutely full on time. I'm also speaking in a personal capacity as well, but I thought I'd just better mention that as a caveat, just in case. Right, UCU, it's University and Colleges Union. It represents the largest trade union for teachers, researchers and academic-related staff in the post-16 education sector, which is often referred to as the tertiary sector. Just want to say that our members are very proud of NUT members and the stance that they're taking. I mean, not just with the anti-academy work, because that's so important. I mean, up in the northeast where I come from, I've seen so many schools turned into academies, and where teachers have stood strong and taken action and convinced the board of governors in those schools that it's not necessary, there has been some success, you know. But academies is like part of the tsunami of onslaught in education, and this goes back all the way back to Thatcher's years, you know, where she made a determined attempt to turn back the welfare state. She kept education and health at arm's length to a certain extent and used a salami slicing approach, which unfortunately the previous Labour government continued on. Which is not good, and that's why we're in the state we're in at the moment. So I just want to say that we're very proud of the NUT, and all the best wishes for the 27th of June for the action that you're taking over changes to contract, which are absolutely devastating. And also want to say as well, I've just come from a UCU left meeting, and we had a phone video link to a teacher in Denmark who was speaking about what was going on there. And that was quite interesting in terms of the government as well, because they've got rid of the Conservative government in Denmark, got a so-called Labour government, but it's just carrying through the same policies, and this is what's caused the crisis with the teachers in Denmark. And the action that they took when they were locked out was absolutely fantastic. They formed a 20-mile long chain from one of the main towns in Denmark to one of the outlying villages, just to give some right. But I'm just going to go off on a tangent now, but I must get back to tertiary education. Right, the biggest onslaught, privatisation. I mean, no doubt about it. It's with us, and it's a tsunami. It really is. And we're at a critical phase now in tertiary area. And broken it down, there's three main areas. One is the student fees. The other is governance, and that's moving from public colleges and universities into PLCs, basically. And the piecemeal privatisation of services and courses, which is what we've heard from previously. There are large multinational companies and private equity firms that are just hanging around like vultures, waiting to swoop in on whatever area they can. In higher education, there was talk of a higher education white paper going through Parliament to privatise. But Willits and the other ministers decided, oh, we can do this without actually making a big fuss about a white paper. We've got enough in the legislation to get it all through. And that's what they're doing. And they're coming at us from all sides. And what we need is constant vigilance about everything, and to be ready and act whenever we can. So the end result of what's going on with the privatisation agenda for us is the public. It's our money. It's that my money, your money, and it's the student money. It's the student debt servicing as well. It's being sifted off into private hands. And also some of this money is actually going into Tory party coffers, which public are not very aware of. So it's constant vigilance that's needed. So I just very briefly want to talk about those three areas. Student fees. So as predicted, access into education is getting harder, and the government is not only pushing up the university's fees to some of the highest globally, but also full fees for the over 24-year-olds studying level 3 and above in colleges, which again is something that the public are not very aware of until they find that your son or daughter is going to college and you know, presenting you with this huge fee. And I heard university fees now are up to £9,000 a year. That's for home students. Up to 3, even 4 times as much for international students. They're seen as great cash cows to plug the deficit that's left with dropping public sector funding. And also the degrees in FE colleges are around £5,000 a year, and that's for an unclassified degree. If a student wants to top that up with an honours component, they'll have to go to university, and that pushes the price up even more. So students are expecting more from their education, but the fees only partially fill a gap left by the reduction in the public sector spending cuts. The UK is one of the lowest spending countries on post-16 education. The current spend by the government is around 1.3% of GDP, and this compares to the average OECD countries of 1.6%, and we're well below leading countries such as the USA and Korea. They spend 2.6% of GDP on tertiary education. Canada 2.5%, Sweden 1.8%, and Japan 1.6%. And UCU, we want the government to take a lead in raising funding for tertiary education to the OECD average of 1.6% of GDP, and we'll continue to oppose fees for students. There's absolutely no reason why students should be paying fees, and again, for anybody actually in education. Oh gosh, right, thank you. We're starting a campaign from cradle to the grave. We've got a motion at Congress tomorrow asking for further work with our sister trade unions in the teacher movement to get that going. Excuse me. And just about fees as well, I don't know if you've heard about Germany, but Germany introduced university fees back in 2004, which only happened in 2 regions, Lower Saxony and Bavaria. And Bavaria have just had an overturn of that, and we think that the student fees will go completely in Germany. So in a region such as Bavaria can get rid of the student fees, there's no reason why we can't. And that's a big message to the Labour Party. You know, there is absolutely no need. Graduate tax is just the same as student loans. It's just arose by any other name, and we can manage it. A rich country like ours, we can afford to educate our children and also give them jobs. Privatisation. I was going to go into some detail about what's going on. We have had some success with local campaigns. The University of Central Lancashire, they were threatened with being pressurised into going into a company limited by guarantee, but they've decided to go against that, and that's only through pressure. In terms of governance, we need to have more parent governors in colleges and more representation from the staff and also the public onto the boards of governors to ask the vital questions about where is our money being spent. Let's see the accounts. Can you tell me why the Vice-Chancellor is worth £250,000 a year? Those sort of questions need to be raised. Right, a little bit about our Conservative Party funding. I don't know if you're aware, but 27% of Conservative Party funding comes from private equity and hedge funds. And private equity firms are hovering around like vultures. There's a fantastic DVD worth looking at called Colleges Inc. And it's rich millionaires who've got absolutely no interest in education but want to take it over and sift off as much as they possibly can. Just a little bit about members. We're seeing massive job losses, particularly in colleges, and changes of contract occurring there with massive redundancies. Excuse me. The principals of colleges are literally tearing up contracts, and with staff nearly doubling their workload with much less pay. Often the image that you see of tertiary, particularly teachers, is you know, that we're pretty well off, you know. I mean, I don't know, like these Morse images, you know, very, very bizarre. Actually, in tertiary education, we've got the second largest grouping of casualised workforce. We're only a little bit above hospitality. We've got members who are deciding whether to turn the heating on or buy food, you know, and often that's not heard about very much. Well, what can we do? Right, well, the Labour Party can do a hell of a lot, right? It can get its act together on education completely. We can get rid of the student fees, we can reinvest in education, spend more in terms of GDP, through general taxation. Big businesses can pay more as well. We pay the lowest corporation tax at the moment, and we can certainly increase that up to European levels. Labour Party needs to listen and act on what we have to say. Recently, well, UCU, we've got a manifesto that's very readily available on our website. Use that as a campaigning tool, both at a local level and at a national level. And together we can change it. You know, this is our children's future, and it's not just their future, it's our future as well, because it's them that are going to be looking after the world while we get older and after we go. So thank you very much. I'm sorry that's really brief.